What is up, everybody? Dane and the Fireman here. Today, we're going to be covering the 2022 Indian FTR1200S. I was able to ride it in town. I was able to ride it on the interstate through the twisties in the mountains. And also, I'm going to talk about, is this a good motorcycle for beginner riders? There's going to be timestamps in the description, so you can actually skip around if you want to. But let's go ahead and jump into it. In order to be a DDFM crew rider, you got to be honest and have integrity. So over there on the far right, you're going to notice that we have a little disclaimer here. So this is not going to be a paid event. This was not something that I'm going to get an affiliate, and nobody told me I had to make this video, but in order to even ride this stuff, they sent me out to Phoenix to stay in a hotel. I drank a few of their beers. They fed me a little bit, but I was not given any money to make this review. So I just want to share that with you. And then also, I do have a slight bias because I do have a 2019 Indian FTR1200S that I absolutely love. One of the first ones to get it in Tucson. Whew, love it. So I'm going to be comparing the 2019 to the 2022. Since looks is very subjective, I'm going to tell you right now, I am very biased towards the FTR look. It just looks mean. It has that scrambler and tracker look. It is something that I've always wanted and something I've always thought of getting when I started riding motorcycles. I love dual sports. I turned my Harley Sportster into a scrambler. As soon as I heard about the FTR 750, I wanted the FTR, and I did. I got the 2019, and then being able to ride the 2022, I did notice a few differences. The tires, obviously, on the 2019 are bigger, so that kind of changes the way it looks, but the 2022s, the 17-inch wheels, it looks like it's a little bit more compact. It looks like there's a lot of less wasted space within the whole bike itself. Makes it more mean, and I absolutely love that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. It's all subjective, obviously. Write in the comments if you like the look of the 2019 or the 2022. So we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of this whole comprehensive review, and we're going to talk about, is it a good motorcycle for commuting? When it comes to commuting, you got to do stop and go traffic. You have to navigate around potholes. You have to go over bumps. You have to plan your ride. So how was the 2022 Indian FTR when it came to planning? Well, first of all, when you have to stop, it gets pretty hot, especially in Arizona. So the rear cylinder deactivation, that was really cool to see in action because we had to stop quite a bit on the way back because I took some side roads and I felt it kick on, or I guess kick off. And the heat dissipation, the mitigation of the heat was never an issue. On the 2019, I always had heat between the legs. The radiator fan would always kick on. And the radiator fan only kicked on like maybe once for about 5 seconds, and then that was it. At no point did I feel heat on my inner thighs, much different than the 2019 FTR1200S. Now, one of the things that I truly care about when it comes to commuting is obviously storage, but I want to know what kind of rider aids are out there. When we do these after action reviews, people are crashing because of panic braking. They're dumping the bike because of a low side. So what does the Indian FTR have? The whole time I felt confident in my turning, and all the rider aids and quality of life features made it so amazing. The cool thing is that with the FTR1200S, you get some ride modes. So you get rain mode, standard mode, and sport mode. Rain mode, it's going to go ahead and reduce, I believe, I might be misquoting here. It's going to reduce the horsepower to about 100 or below, and the throttle response is not going to be so choppy or exact. So think of it as like a beginner mode. Standard mode has everything, has all the bells and whistles. It's going to have everything you're going to possibly need. Sport mode, it's going to be a lot quicker on the throttle, a lot quicker on a few things, but that's how I ride my bikes, so you might want to check it out too. It does have lean angle sensitive ABS, which is a lot different than normal ABS. ABS normally is just for that straight line up and vertical. With lean angle, it actually activates when you're starting to go into that corner. It does have stability control. It does have traction control, which is very important because if you are starting to slide, it will actually reduce some throttle inputs because you notice, with traction, too much throttle, too much braking, too much turning can cause a low side. So the rider aid itself is going to help mitigate that. It does have wheelie control with the rear lift mitigation. I've activated that twice in my life, one on the 2019 and then one during this 2022 event. And it's actually pretty cool. It's like, nope, you're going to go back down. It does have a USB charge port, so I use my Rockford mount right on the side, charge it in, pretty cool. And then cruise control, that's going to be very helpful for commuters that have to jump on the interstate or highway or any of those long commuters that have to go, 100 miles to work. And like I said, luggage or storage is very important. So on my model that I was able to ride around with, I had a top case in the back, I had a tank bag and a side saddle bag, but I also have my backpack. Now, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't need the tank bag because I had a backpack, but the top luggage case on the back end, amazing. Absolutely love it. I want to buy it for the 2019 that I have. The side bag, the saddle bag, I have one on my bike already, but that one was a lot bigger. I might get that one too. So you do have some options when it comes to storing some things in there. Now that we talked about some of the storing of things and then how it does with commutes, let's go ahead and talk about how it does on long rides. So like I said, the event took a long time. We went over 100 something miles and we went interstate, canyon carving, and commuting. So what I want to talk about mainly here is how it handled on the interstate or the 202, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, the heat displacement was really good, so I had great comfort between my legs. I remember riding to Phoenix to take a class from Tucson, and it was in the middle of summer, and I did feel the heat between my legs on the 2019 on highway speeds when you would think that the wind would take away that heat. So on here with the 2022, I never felt that. So that was really interesting that they had, some type of airflow management or some type of dissipation or just better overall. I would expect to feel the same amount of heat through the seat, which is very low on the 2019 or 2022, but I definitely didn't feel it on my legs when it's, reaching down. So that was really cool to see. One of the big concerns that I had was the tires are going to be a little bit smaller. So the front end on the 2019 is 19 inches and the front end and the rear end on the 2022 are 17. So 19, 18, 17, 17. And I was really concerned the stability with some wind or with some grooves or having to navigate and always having to be in control of the handlebars, not like a cruiser where you can kind of relax and it almost wants to drive itself. So I was really concerned about that. But when I started riding, I realized it was very stable. And on top of that, I felt like I can navigate any threats or adapt even quicker than I could on the 2019. And that's because the wheelbase, the rake, the trail, all that stuff has been changed just a little bit when it comes to the 2022. And I don't know if this is just something that I found out, but the seat I felt like it was more comfortable on the 2022 than it was on my 2019. I don't know. Anybody else? And to go back to the 17-inch wheels, you have to remember the 19 and 18s, those are pretty hard to find tires for. So if you want more of a hard compound for these long rides, you can find a lot of options with the 17-inch wheels in the front and back. So that's a really cool quality of life and also performance upgrade. And as noted with the commuting section, lots of luggage options, lots. Now this is where everybody wants to know, is it good in the mountains? Yes. Now it's been a long time since actually riding some technical mountain rides, and Tortilla Flats and that whole area over there really kind of made me aware of my skills and my limits and my failures on this. So thankfully nothing bad happened to me. We did have one rider that crashed. I didn't have my GoPro on or anything like that, but it was pretty cool. I got to do the R in Smart Rider and I got to rescue a little bit. Just an assessment. He was fine. But you might be seeing that on the internet that somebody crashed on a press ride. So I was there to help. So it was really cool. But the main thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to the mountain riding is the 17-inch wheels and the ergonomics that are now changed a little bit from the 2019 made me feel like I was sucked into the motorcycle. With the 2019, I feel like I'm a little bit high. I feel like I feel like I'm still stuck with the motorcycle. I'm one with the motorcycle, but I felt even more with the 2022. I hope that makes sense to you guys. But the thing is, when I got on the 2022, I just felt like this is the bike. Now, if you remember when I did the 2019 review, this one right here, and I made that noise.
Gosh, this is so cool. Oh.
Yeah, I had that same feeling. So that's what I want you guys to understand, is that the feeling of getting into the motorcycle, I felt really good. I felt like I was confident with my skills, but the bike was like saying, hey, do more. You can do more, not with speed, but it's more like, hey, you could take this turn even sharper if you want. We got the traction control. Hey, we got lean angle ABS. Hey, if you need to slow down, you can slow down. We got good Brembo brakes. The Carbon R has Öhlins and everything. So there's just a lot of different upgrades and different things that you can do. And the bike made me feel super confident. So the problem with that is that you might feel a little too confident, Dunning-Kruger effect. So during the whole process, there was one time with the decreasing radius where I started going a little bit wide, and I was like, no. And I had to tell myself not to. I was having almost too much fun, but I knew going through the mountains and doing all this stuff that if I just increased my skill level, I can handle these a lot better. And that's something that I noticed with the professional racers and riders out there. and they were they were doing pretty damn good, and it made me realize, hey, it's not the bike that is, making me not do this. It's my skill level. So I know the motorcycle can handle it. The Indian FTR1200S 2022 can handle it. I need to increase my skill level, but that allows me to see, oh, I can grow into this. And it is something that I can do really well on. The tires felt great. Handling felt great. I could turn in quicker than the 2019, but still have the stability that I needed. And one of the cool things is that you can adjust the suspension too. Sorry, forgot to say that. All right, noted. This right here is the part I want to talk about. And a lot of you guys are new riders. You probably have the money and the income for this motorcycle. We'll talk about price after this. And you might want to be sticking with an American made naked bike. So let's go ahead and talk about, is this good for beginner riders? So we're going to be covering 4 things, in town riding where it's just, having some fun. You're not really looking for a destination. We're also going to be talking about highway riding. So you might want to go from point A to point B on the interstate or highway, canyon carving, having some weekend fun, and then commuting to work and back. Is this going to be a daily driver, and is it going to be something you're going to have a lot of fun on? Basically, get your money's worth. So first and foremost, when it comes to in town or anywhere on any of these types of things, is having those rider aids. So if you're an absolute beginner, what I suggest is maybe starting off in rain mode. Think of it as beginner mode. It's going to limit as much as possible while still having all the capabilities that you need. So you can still go on the interstate, you can still do in-town stuff, you can still do canyon carving in rain mode. It's just going to limit some of these things. Moving up into standard mode and then sport mode, that's up to you. I would do some parking lot practice. I would have some fun in that area, practice your braking, practice your swerving, practice your tight turns. I had a ton of fun in the parking lot with this thing, and I felt like I can turn it in woo-wee, pretty easily. And it was pretty nice. I absolutely loved it. So I know that this bike can handle those types of things, and you need to practice, 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 practice. One thing I haven't mentioned at all this whole time, but I need you to know, is that it does have a lower seat height. So on the 2019, I have to basically put 1 foot down and 1 foot on the pegs. And it's kind of freaky, especially if you have uneven pavement or if you're on a hill. So one of the cool things about this is that it is actually a lower seat height, because of the tire size is a little different. And then they actually made some adjustments. So now it's a lower seat height. And I can actually put the balls of my feet, both feet, on the ground while at a stoplight. That's huge for rider confidence. Absolutely huge. You don't want to be riding around and then not be able to touch the ground as a beginner, because the main thing here is that if you start to feel like you're falling down because your slow speed practice isn't as good, well, here's the thing. You can put your feet down. I have a 30-inch inseam, so it's up to you. If you have shorter legs than me, then maybe you can tiptoe. But if you have longer legs, you're going to be able to flat foot it. And to go back to the rider aids, that's very important for a new rider. I always get a motorcycle with ABS. ABS is standard on this, and it basically stays on. I believe you can turn it off if you want to do some off-roading stuff, but as a person that just stays on pavement pretty much, especially with these new tires, which are badass, I don't think I'm going to be going off-road with the 2022 Indian FTR1200S. That's a mouthful. That's what she said. But having traction control is very important. That wheelie mitigation is also extremely important. The lean angle ABS, there's all these different rider aids that are meant basically for the commuter, okay? So with ABS, you're going to be able to do some good progressive brake pressure, but if it fails on you, you can squeeze even harder. You're going to feel a little bit of pulsating in the hands, but ABS is going to kick in. When you're turning in and doing slow look press and roll, maybe practicing your trail braking if you've taken an advanced class, it does have lean angle sensitive ABS, which is going to help you out. So if you accidentally give it too much, it's not going to put too much on that rear tire or front tire and dump the bike. Now, it's disclaimer, anything can happen with traction loss. But the thing is, it's going to be a nice rider aid. Also, that traction control, you're leaning, and all of a sudden it feels like you're leaning too far. We talk about traction over here. If you give it too much lean angle, you can't give it too much throttle or braking. But when you're doing that lean angle, it's going to remove a little bit of that throttle so that you're not giving too much into that turn and then cause a low side. So that's really cool. The wheelie mitigation, if you accidentally give it too much and do a power wheelie, it's going to be like, nope, put yourself back down. I felt that before, and I'm thankful for it. So let's go ahead and talk about beginner riding, but then highway stuff. What does the beginner want when it comes to that? So first and foremost, it is a naked bike. So you're going to get that wind on the chest and wind on the face. My bike at this event had a windshield, so it blocked a lot of the chest wind, but I still had some of the headwind. So just be aware of that. It's not going to deflect a whole bunch, but I never felt like it was something I couldn't handle. So it is just something that you're going to have to figure out. And the best way to kind of do that is grip the tank with your knees, be a little loose up top. Like I said many times, it does have that good heat dissipation. Love it. I know a lot of beginner riders are really concerned about highway speeds and how you feel stable. You feel like you're going to fly off. Here's the thing. You're going to feel extremely stable. The motorcycle felt like it was stuck to the ground, which is a good thing because you're going to want to be able to swerve at high speeds if something comes at you. Okay. Remember, planning a ride, navigate that threat. And part of having an escape path is not just left and right. It is also braking, which this bike has amazing brake power. And then also has a ton of power. So if you had to escape going forward with acceleration, even at 70, 80 miles an hour, it was super easy to get up to speed and possibly escape something if I had to. Canyon riding, woo, man, you guys are probably like, I just want to know about this. Is it good for a beginner? Like I said, with all those rider aids, you have that lean angle ABS, the normal ABS, which is actually really good, traction control, stability control. All the rider aids are going to help you out. So if you're ever going to do canyon carving, if you possibly can, keep it in standard mode. If you want to have fun, put it in sport mode. You still get quite a bit of these rider aids, but canyon carving, you're going to have a ton of fun. I felt super locked in and part of the motorcycle. This was something that was a little different than the 2019. 2019, I still feel very comfortable, but 2022, I felt like I was locked in. Shorter, everything, so I felt like I was closer to the handlebars. I felt like I was able to do a lot of these things a lot easier. The Brembo brakes helped a lot with the trail braking and slow press and roll. Always felt confident in my braking power. Also, the turning felt amazing, and with the lean angle stability control, ABS cornering pre-control allowed even more confidence in it, which can be a bad thing. So for a beginner, you need to know your skill level. Just because the bike is basically aiding you into your journey does not mean that your skill level keeps increasing. The motorcycle is making it easy for you to stay safe, which means you should try your best to stay safe yourself. You don't want to push it because everything feels safe. You don't want to do maxing of your skill level. Always train sub-maximally, always ride sub-maximally so you have a little bit left over just in case something happens. So you have to do some type of red stage maneuver like a swerve or emergency braking. I was nowhere close to the motorcycle's capabilities this whole time. This is a motorcycle that if you get it, you can easily grow into it for years to come. So it's a great investment in that aspect. So let's go ahead and talk about commuting real quick. So for the beginner, like I said, having your feet down is very important. So that is something that is going to be giving you a lot of confidence, especially in stop and go traffic. Also, the rear cylinder deactivation was a blessing to have when I couldn't lane filter. You can't lane filter in Arizona traffic. So having to stop and having that heat come up it's a pain in the ass. But with the rear cylinder deactivation, it sounded kind of weird when it kicked on, but you know it's on. So it kicked on, felt no heat, still didn't feel heat with it on. It was just amazing. So that really helped out. The touch screen is very, very intuitive. You have like these little trigger controls on the right side so you can kind of swap between screens. You have a little button on the left side. So you don't even have to touch your touch screen. You can keep your hands on the handlebars. That's very important to stay safe. But when you're at a stoplight and you get gloves that have the little touchscreen things, it's super easy to navigate. You can turn on, turn off, traction control, all these different things. Absolutely love it. Looks great. Looks nice. I keep it in dark mode. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on from that. So if you're commuting to work, you want to be able to, bring some good shoes or, maybe bring a bag. And this is where having that luggage is very important. So they do have the options of that top case in the back, and then also the luggage rack, and also a tank bag, also a side saddle bag. So you have multiple options to put luggage in those things. Also, if you're going to get groceries, you can easily do that. Obviously, you can't get as much as a car, but then going to the gym too. So if you want to bring your gym clothes, bring them and put them in the bag. Obviously, don't wear just gym clothes. Always wear full gear. Remember, acquire and utilize personal protective equipment. Be a smart rider. But if I had to do it all over again, I definitely would get the 2022 and trade in my 2019. Anybody want to buy my 2019? Anybody? Because I absolutely want this freaking 2022. It's that much of an upgrade in just 3 years. Now, cost is a big factor when it comes to wanting a motorcycle, and I'm just going to throw it out here. The regular FTR is $12,999 MSRP. FTR-S is $14,999. FTR Carbon, which has the Olin suspension, is going to be $16,999. And if you want to have something that has more upgrades in terms of all these newfangled things, but you do want that 19-inch, 18-inch wheel, you can still get the FTR Rally, which is going to be coming in at $13,999. That's going to be the higher seat height. That's basically going to be my bike, but with some more upgrades and new things to help out. Different tuning, and all these bikes come with different tuning than the 2019. So all the issues that you had, the cold start, the throttle response, all that stuff is gone. I never felt a single thing. It felt like I had a brand new 2019 bike, basically. 2022, I was there. I felt like it was finally got that final version. The 2019, my bike, it feels like it was a rough draft and they're upgrading it slowly. And they did. I love it. All these upgrades, different tunes, all the different situations were handled. And then the 2022, it's like, okay, we learned. Now let's go ahead and make sure it comes out in that full package. So even if somebody has a problem with this, I can't wait for the 2025s. I can't wait, every 2-3 years, there are going to be massive improvements. So I'm really, really happy when it comes to what's happening with Indian right now. I'm not one to give glowing reviews, but I absolutely love the FTR. Like I said, I was biased with the 2019, but I really, really want to trade in my 2019 to get that 2022. So Indian, if you're watching this, let's see if we can do a little trade. All right. But with that said, click that video right over there. That's going to be the original 2019 first impressions. You can hear me giggle like a little girl. All right. I'll see you around.